What about the children? To ignore is so easy. So many innocent children choose the wrong way. What about the children? Remember when we were children, and if not for those who loved us and who cared enough to show us, where would we be today? Mm. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family. Welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadija. I'm gonna do a little deep diving on this particular subject, and it's real important. And the catalyst, of course, we all know, was Royce Reed and her arrest the other day for child neglect. Okay, and a lot of people were like, "Well, why did she get arrested?" And blah 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 blah. Of course, we already know why. Okay. Um, the first thing I want to talk about is there is a real risk, when you have children in your home and either the parents are very young, they're not supervised, meaning the parents, they don't have anybody who's ever shown them how to be a good parent or how to be a parent. So if you got 14 and 15-year-old parents that are producing children, or even children that are older who have been victims of psychotropic drugs and all other kinds of stimulants that they put these children on that can cause mental health issues. It's a cesspool, basically. So when we deal with, first of all, let me say that most cases of child abuse are unsubstantiated, okay? That does not mean that the stuff didn't happen, okay? For instance, every year in Wisconsin, many child abuse allegations are made but not substantiated, okay? Now, there are ways to help families in such cases despite the lack of any formal finding that the child abuse actually happened. Tens of thousands of unsubstantiated cases of child abuse occurred in Wisconsin in 2018, but the unsubstantiated finding wasn't the end of the story, for the individuals that were involved. Especially, let me give you an example of a case involving Susanna. Okay, Susanna has two children, Brian and the other child. Brian, the older child, is her biological child, but not the child with her then husband, John. Jenny, the younger child, is the marital child of Susanna and John. Susanna and John were in the midst of a divorce when Brian suddenly disclosed that John had been sexually abusing him since the time Susanna and John moved in together. Brian gave graphic descriptions of abuse in childlike language, ranging from fondling his genitals to playing sexual games. This was reported to the police department and the local child protective service agencies. Brian was interviewed several times, by law enforcement staff, a CPS worker, therapists, and workers at a child advocacy center. Although he gave detailed descriptions of the sexual act, he could not give dates or times, like what kid would, right? He could only say that it happened almost daily. Okay, so the CPS worker described him as hesitant and not really wanting to discuss the details. CPS then unsubstantiated the case. So the district attorney did not press and file any charges. However, the CPS report stated that despite the unsubstantiation, both the police officers and the social worker found that Brian was credible. They just couldn't prove the case. Okay. Now, along comes Royce. And what happened with her son? Now, according to her court documents, her young son has an alleged history of inappropriate sexual conduct with minors. That came to a head last year when he allegedly made the minor son of her Royce's boyfriend perform a sexual act while the two boys were at Royce's home. Now, in the documents, investigators confirmed that during their interview with him about the incident, he stated that he made the child, masturbate me because I was angry at him. While revealing that it happened on two separate occasions elsewhere in the interview, Braylon said that anger triggers him into acting out sexually. Now that's very dangerous. Anytime you get mad and decide that you want to have sex or rape somebody or molest them because you're angry and you're only 14 years old, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, from my experience working with children, running a group home, running a respite facility, is that the young man has watched and has seen inappropriate behavior. Okay, whether it's from his mother, whether it's from his father, but he was forbidden by authorities to have any contact with minors 2 or more years younger than him. And the son of Royce's boyfriend falls underneath those restrictions. Her son and the minor child had been together multiple times throughout the year, despite being required not to do so. In response to her son's inappropriate conduct, Royce told investigators that she has been seeing a treatment counselor at the True Core Behavior Solutions for the past 8 months. However, when her son told the counselor about the incident, it was then forwarded to the Florida Department of Children and Family Services. Royce was charged with third-degree felony neglect. A lot of y'all feel like, they can't tell me nothing about my house, of what to do in my house, where my kids should be, and if it's okay if he upstairs and I'm downstairs, if they up there playing video games, I'm right in the house with them. What harm could it do? I'm going to tell you what harm it could do. I know people that I've had to actually remove myself away from. Neighbors, people in the hood that they send their kids upstairs to play and nobody goes up and checks on them. And so when I question that, they all look at me like I'm crazy. So right away I know that, and these are relatives, some of them are friends, some of them are relatives. The fact of the matter is that it's so much dysfunction in our communities that nobody want to talk about it. So when I'm asking that, ain't nobody gonna check on the kids? Who checked on, I'm ending up going up and down the stairs, and I'm like, these ain't even none of my kids. But I'm up and down because I know kids do those things. And if your kid is forbidden by authorities not to have contact with minors younger than him, and you do it anyway, thinking that they don't know what they're talking about, or you know best, or that's your son, and they just up there playing video games, you end up in a situation like Royce, turning herself in to the police because your child is a sex predator. That's insane. Now, she, of course, pled innocent, not guilty. And her attorney, Andrea Black, filed a demand of discovery, which includes asking those known to the prosecutor who have information about the charge can answer questions if any electronic surveillance, including wiretapping, occurred, or if any documents have been seized without her knowledge. The demand of discovery also requests a list of all witnesses to the prosecution, as well as any notes or photos from the investigation. As it was previously reported, that's a hell of a situation because her boyfriend now has brought his son and actually has made him a victim of a predator. And if you ask me, that relationship is doomed right now. If it's not already, you're going to have to stop seeing each other. You're going to have to break this relationship off because Braylon is not going to stop doing it. Especially if you stay involved with this kid that he's done it to already. That's usually been my experience. That's usually my experience with these type of issues. So, when I go back and look at my own notes and stuff from some of these child abuse cases, I'd like to ask y'all, true or false? Most reports of child abuse are found to be substantiated or unsubstantiated. Unsubstantiated is the answer. Rank the following causes of death in children in the most common to the least common. School shootings, child abuse, car accidents. What would you think? The answer is B, child abuse. Question number 4. Rank the following forms of child abuse from most common to the least common. A, sexual abuse. B, physical abuse. C, emotional abuse, neglect. What would y'all say? Well, the answer is B, physical abuse. For teenagers, which risk is greater? Being abused or being the victim of a violent crime? Who is most likely to report child abuse? The child, a family member, a professional, meaning a mandated reporter, somebody like me. C, a mandated reporter. What ages are children most vulnerable to being abused? 0 to 1, preschool 1 to 4, young school age 5 to 11, or teens 12 to 18? And lastly, which of the following people is most likely to abuse a child? A relative, a parent, other caretakers like foster parents, teachers, etc., and D, stranger. Well, the answer to that is B, and the answer to number 2 is B as well. 1 to 4. There's some real serious dynamics going on in our communities, and nobody want to talk about it, only because our children are getting younger and younger that are having babies, and a lot of them are not even raised by their parents. They're raised in foster care. I think we did a video about that a couple days ago. I was just hearing a situation with a brother being X who said that he was born in prison. Most of the kids that I raised up, parents, and I had in group home, their parents were in prison when they were born. From Tachita to the county jail to locked up. Physical indicators are bruises in areas other than the knee, elbows, nose, and forehead. Okay, because those are the common areas that children get hurt in. Okay. Small round burns about 1/4 inch in diameter and bite marks. Okay, y'all already know. In an infant is brain swelling and damage, mental retardation, developmental delays, blindness, hearing loss, paralysis, and speech problems, or a sudden death. These are all indicators of physical abuse, y'all. Aggression, withdrawal, they say they don't want to do things that they really want to do. Blame themselves for their parents' actions. And they're very defiant. So if you got a kid that's very, very defiant, how you been beating on them? Have you been beating on him to the point where he don't even care about the beatings no more? And all y'all can say is, and you always speaking these things into these children like, he's so bad, he's so bad. And I get so sick of hearing that. Oh, he bad. Oh, he bad. With his bad ass. With his bad, This is how we communicate. This is how we talk. It's not a cultural thing. It's an ignorant thing. Really. It's a not raising your children up to be healthy adults type of thing. Sexual abuse is intentional touching of an intimate body part directly or through clothing or any body part or object with the purpose of sexual degradation, humiliation, sexual arousal, or battery. Important. No child under the age of 16 can legally give consent to sexual activity, regardless of the age of the other person involved. So if you under 16, you can't consent. I know what Corey Holcomb says in different countries, but we in America. And in America, you can't give legally consent to have sex. And in a lot of other countries, they're underdeveloped. And that's why they allow you to marry a 6-year-old or they promise a girl 8 years old. Surely in your right mind, you don't think that that should be legal, do you? Some of y'all think because a girl has a period, then since she's able to have a period, then she's ready to become a mother. But she's not. She's not. You don't even mate your dog on the first heat. Not a good breeder. There's physical indicators that a child has been molested, maybe pain or swelling in the genital area, STDs, pregnancy, which they call the triad. Fire setting, annual abuse, focus, and bedwetting. All trigger warnings. You got a fire starter, you got an animal abuser, you got a bedwetter, you better start checking your damn don't check the fruit, check the tree. Okay? You keep dropping these fruits down in their bed, don't check the fruit no more. Check the tree. The mama or the daddy or the uncle or the auntie or who you got in close proximity with your children. In Roy's case, it was the boyfriend or his father. When he goes to his father's house, what kind of activity does he see? He knows that his father has impregnated at least 5 different women. He's not stupid. All of these kids don't represent his mother. And this is a good sign for all of y'all who think y'all can spread y'all seeds like Nick Cannon all over the world. And that shit ain't going to come back to back hunt you. Oh, maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Because anytime you telling me that your wife is not picking your other wife, then I know you on some bullshit. You're not doing anything according to any kind of religious or spiritual or any kind of a work family orientated union. You just out here wilding. That's what you doing. And then for Nick, I already know because all yours look a certain way. You don't even have any that look like you or your mother. All yours look like somebody else. But that's another story we can get into. There's behavior indicators. Self-harm, mutilation, talks a lot about secrets, sexually aggressive and touching on younger children, sexually manipulative and promiscuous. How many of y'all was promiscuous growing up because somebody touched y'all too early? Tell the truth. I think I was. I think when you touch too early, you have, and I know people who have been molested by their parents, stepfathers, stepmothers. You know, let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think that sexual abuse of children is caused by an adult seeking sexual gratification or by an adult seeking power and control? Okay, because that's when adults bother children. Okay, why are we seeing more sexually problematic behavior in kids? It's increases in child abuse, premature death of parents or parent figures, increases in drug and alcohol use during pregnancy. That's what I was talking about the other day. A lot of y'all get drunk and high just to have sex. And don't even believe that your baby is growing up in a cesspool of madness already off the bat. The sperm and the egg is hitting each other all inebriated and messed up. And you think you're going to produce a healthy child. Y'all growing them up in garbage. He meeting his conception with madness. The parents can't even be normal and have a normal body flow and feel a normal body. They got to be altered in an altered state of consciousness. That's not how any of this works. The sex industry is thriving. TV, movies, videos, the internet, and phone sex telephone numbers are easily accessed by children. In fact, sex is marketed to children and teens on purpose by people who want to make money. So they'll tell your children, if you're not in control of watching your household develop and your children's mind develop, like some little Play-Doh, that is being molded and shaped, you're in trouble. And if you're a parent that don't think that's the most important thing, listen, being a parent is the most selfless job that it is. It don't come with no thank yous. It don't come with any of those things. That's why you really shouldn't have no kid unless you really, really want to dedicate your life to that kid, because that kid comes first. comes first before you partying, comes first before you want to go out with your friends and kick it, come first before you having a boyfriend in your house, even though you lonely, comes first before you have a woman in your house, whoever. It's a selfless job. And most of us ain't ready for that type of commitment. Most of us are not even ready for that kind of dedication. And that's why our kids are out here like tumbleweeds. If a kid have head injuries in early childhood, and if you got a parent who's not empathetic, parental fear of the child, parents resigning when the child reaches 13 or 14, they just done checked out. They don't want to be bothered no more. Because they see the kid is getting big and they might be a little sassy now, and so they check out. Messages that teen sex is a choice and a wide acceptance of this choice. You cannot let the government raise your children. You have to raise your children. Now, there's a lot of other factors, of course. I'm going to say this and I'm going to be done. Get ready to wrap this up. There's a lot of factors that tend to put a child at risk of harm to others in the community and in their home. And that's, again, beginning sexually harmful behaviors at a very early age. Braylon. The little girl I was just telling you about. The little boy, Brian. Okay? Way too early. Susanna attempted to get therapy and supportive services for Brian, but found the door closed at every turn. So these are things that you have to be ever diligent as a parent. Use of force or violence in offending, large number of victims, non-sex related behavior problems, particularly criminal behaviors, letting your kids see all this kind of stuff, poor school attendance and poor grades, all this stuff. It's like a handbasket full of a pattern that's going to end up with your child behind the 8 ball. And I mean the 8 ball on the pool table. Poor social skills. Few or no social supports, no family ties. Drug and alcohol abuse. Mental illness. And lastly, the one I think is the most important. The family views crazy behavior as normal. And they're unwilling to look at it from another perspective. They think it's cultural, but it's abuse. And because Black people have been traumatized for so long, we need all the kind of roadmaps we can use, whether it's from the dominant society, no matter where it's from. We need something to separate us from ignorance. Because what happened with Roy's house was just ignorant. It was just ignorance, plain and simple. She thought she knew more than the professionals. She decided that she could let her boy be upstairs as long as she was in the house with him. And so she really doesn't understand the meaning of the word supervised visits or supervised activity. Because that means you in sight and sound range and you can't be without it. You can't be out of sight and sound of your children. So you can call me crazy if you want to. A lot of people said I was very overprotective. And guess what? I love it. It didn't matter to me. I didn't care. Because I'd rather be overprotective than underprotective. And to leave my child and children out to the wolves that I know that this society has waiting to prey upon them. And I don't want to be one who create this type of behavior in an offspring that I produce that will go out there and molest and rape other people's children and give harm to other people's children. Now, I know this video was a little long, but I really wanted to delve into this because this is very serious. And there's a lot of families out there suffering and facing this right now. 11-year-olds pregnant. I can't deal with that. I have to move around. When I see cousins and family members or friends who allow 11 and 10-year-olds to get pregnant, I have to report them. That's my job. I can't worry about if and then I know I'm not welcome anymore because I'm going to tell it because that child needs help. And obviously you can't give it to him. Or a mother who has a whole lot of disappearing acts on her children. All that wounds they little spirits. So I'm down for the kids. I'm down for the kids. That they grow up healthy and happy and safe. Because it's so much easier to love a child than to heal a broken man. And this is what Frederick Douglass said. It's the truth. It's easy to love an infant and give your infant what it needs than to try to fix this nigga after he done got grown? Are you serious? You can't do nothing with that. God got to do it after that point. Not you. So if he all broken like that, let him go. Your job is to nurture and raise your child. It's just that simple. So if you don't want to do it, like Michael Jackson, if you don't want your baby, then don't have a baby. Don't think maybe if you can't raise your baby, well, I mean, what? You'll be always trying. Stop that child from crying. Remember that? Hustling, stealing, lying. Come on, y'all. We got to do better. All right. I want to hear y'all opinion. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.